Welcome to the first episode of Season 2 on Tell My Story. In this podcast, we will highlight and discuss the unique experiences of our guest speakers throughout these unprecedented circumstances during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm your host, Lily Liu, and today we are grateful to have Lily Liu from South Lake Hospital here with us. Thank you, Lily, for taking time out of your day to be with us and tell your story. Lily is an endoscopy nurse who works at the South Lake Hospital located in Newmarket, Ontario. For those who aren't familiar with this occupation, endoscopy nurses assist the surgical team during endoscopic procedures, providing patient care before, during, and after, along with educating patients about treatment. The purpose of endoscopic procedures is to diagnose illnesses in the esophagus and stomach. Before heading into the questions, I would like to thank and acknowledge all healthcare workers, including Lily, for caring for the community during these difficult times. So our first question is, your job seems to require lots of communication skills. Would you say the pandemic increased the need for communication between nurses and patients?
Thank you for having me today, Helena. Yes, absolutely. This pandemic absolutely increased the communication skills between patients and families. During the pandemic, we are not allowed, the hospitals are not allowed visitors coming to the hospital to visit patients. So, in order for us to, looking after the patient well, we act the communication between the patients and the family. And even during the most difficult time in ICU, it's the nurses who are using iPad, having Zoom meetings, and talk to the family, update the patients' situations, and even the most saddest situation is the patient say bye, or the family say bye before the patient pass. So, yes, the pandemic absolutely changed the communication skills and increased definitely.
Thank you. That's very interesting to hear. And what would you say is your favorite part about your job?
My favorite part is a lot of educations to the patients. They feel grateful, and I'm using my knowledge as a peri-operative nurse, including pre-op, during, and post-op education to patients, increase their knowledge, and that's the most interesting part. And of course, nursing is always you learn new things every single day, so you always have something new technologies coming out often, and you learn a lot of things through my nursing career.
Thank you. That sounds like such an inspiring career. And what would you say were the hardest obstacles you overcame during this pandemic?
The hardest part is, the beginning of the pandemic, we have not enough PPEs for our nursing colleagues, all the healthcare workers. That was very difficult because COVID-19 is brand new for every single of us, and we don't know how that transmission, how that spread. And for us to overcome all the difficulties, and we have a lot of support from the public. We have lots of donation for PPEs across countries. So I think that's the most difficult part during the beginning of the pandemic is we don't have enough equipment to protect ourselves, our patients, and our family.
Thank you for that input. That sounds very true. And would you say that COVID-19 has shaped you to show more appreciation for your profession and the other healthcare workers?
Yeah. The COVID-19 has definitely changed a lot for healthcare workers, the way we look after patients, the way we provide care, the way the public look at us as well. And I think during the last year of pandemic, we've been referred as heroes by public a lot. But we as healthcare workers, we don't want to be called heroes. We're just human beings. We've been going through this for the past 18 months, and lots of us are burned out. We're tired. We are exhausted. We need more support from our government. We need more support from the public. Yes, that's a huge impact for healthcare workers.
Thank you. That's quite a statement. And I know that you've previously worked at Marco Stova Hospital as an operating nurse for a longer period of time. Have Marco Stova Hospital and South Lake Hospital impacted you in different ways?
For the work I do that at Marco Stova Hospital is more in the OR. We're doing a lot of major procedures, and you look after the patient pre-op, intraoperatively, and for me to move to South Lake endoscopy, it's totally new, and it's something new that I'm always interested to learn. So yeah, it's two different area that. I would say, like nursing, you think nurses is a nurse? No, nurses, we have lots of specialties. So, as you know, OR nurse, and I'm now an endoscopy nurse.
Thank you. And I know that you and many others have probably been stressed out. So what are some things you do or have done to unwind?
I mean, me and my colleagues, we during the peak of the pandemic, it's exhausting. We're tired. We got redeployed because all the elective surgeries being canceled as our nurses, and along with lots of my colleagues from the OR that we probably work in the OR for entire career, nursing career, that never work in ICU, all from for nursing for very, very long time. For us to learn something brand new, it's very stressful, but we work as a team. We know that ICU nurses, they need help, and by the end of the day, we debrief, like we talk to each other, we have to debrief that the hospitals always provide, we call wellness center, or it's like a quiet room for people needs to be debriefed by them, and that's really help. And for myself, I listen to my favorite music. That's really helped too.
Okay, I guess that's something we have in common. So I know that spreading positivity during the pandemic has come to be more important than ever. And in what ways have you, your colleagues, and your patients been able to stay more positive?
Sorry, can you repeat your question again?
Sure. So we know that spreading positivity during the pandemic has come to be more important than ever. And in what ways would you say have you, your colleagues, and your patients been able to stay positive?
It's very hard, and because you hear news all over the place, right? Social media. From the beginning of the pandemic, you hear numbers and increasing, how many people died every day. Infection rate is high. We're running out of bed. We're running out of healthcare workers. I would say it is very hard to stay positive, but after 18 months now, we finally see the light of the end of the tunnel, because people get vaccinated. We finally, the numbers coming down. We, encouraging ourselves and encouraging our colleagues and the patient. Once stay positive and you do what do you have to do. Wear your mask, social distance, hand sanitizer, protect yourself. We're encouraging people to do and encouraging people to get vaccinated. And that's how we try to stay positive for ourselves, for the community, for the public, and for our colleagues as well.
Thank you. That's very inspiring to hear. And has there been a moment or achievement during the pandemic that you are proud of?
Yeah, there's lots of moments that, when I got redeployed to ICU a few times, or, doing the work that out of your comfort zone. And there's a moment that you feel, using your nursing skills, using even my language skills, and help patient and comfort the patient, and even holding the hands for a patient before they're dying, because they're dying alone in ICU. And that's the moment me and a lot of my colleagues are proud of, because we as nurses, part of the patient's life journey. The end might not be a happy ending; it's a sad end sometimes. But you provide care, you provide comfort, and that's a proud moment.
Thank you. Nurses are definitely an essential part of our society. And what would you say has been the most important lesson you have learned throughout the whole pandemic?
The lessons that we learn from pandemic is, a virus just could change your whole world like upside down, and even giving us all the putting all the burdens on our healthcare system. The lessons, not only from the nurses, even the government, they should learn is, should be more proactive. You never know what is the next pandemic will come and when will come. And I think our government or even our healthcare system should be more proactive, be more prepared, and put our healthcare system, like our frontline workers, and not in dire, and hire more nurses. We hope to get more support from our government and from our healthcare system for retention and recruitment of the nurses. And this is a lesson I hope everyone will learn from a pandemic.
Thank you. And that brings me right into my last question. And what change would you like to see for nurses in Ontario?
We hope to see more respect from government, from the hospital, from colleagues, each other. And we hope to see much more proactive from our government, and more recruitment, more retention, more education support. And absolutely, we have a Bill 124. And it's the government that introduced in 2019 to cap the wages for the healthcare workers at 1% every year. And we are hoping, we as nurses being treated fairly and equally from the government, and because the healthcare workers basically is the backbone. The nurses are the backbone of the healthcare system here.
Thank you so much, Lily, for being here with us today and sharing your story. Sadly, this is where we part ways and end this episode. Thank you to all the listeners for tuning in to Tell My Story, and don't forget to come back next time so you can hear from our next guest speaker and their experiences.